crafty friends, it's Ashley Pfeiffer, the maker behind Stamped AF. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Canada, and if you caught my initial Facebook Live last week, don't go looking for it now because it's been deleted. There were a few too many fumbles, and I thought, you know what? I had a great time, but I thought, okay, I've got to redo this. So I want to give you a full-length video on how to create this super fun fold. Underwater fun fold. So usually I don't do this. I don't bring in a whole bunch of different bundles, but there were just so many things that just needed to be included on this card. Now, the one thing that absolutely is a must is the new layering diorama dies, and I've only used 3 of them. There are 7 of them in the set, and they're a must-have. They are very easy to overlook in the new catalog, but I hope that this video will show you that they are so worth their weight in gold. So I am going to start. I've got a couple of bundles. So we're using Whale Done. When I did this as my Facebook Live, I pulled the viewers to see if they wanted Whale Done or Shark Frenzy, and Whale Done won by a landslide. But we needed the waves and the fish from this set. So I did that, and then on Thursday last week, I had a huge order come in, and Seascape was part of that. And there are these adorable bubbles, which we are so using. There's these little fish, there's that pattern. There's so many great things that we can use here, and you can see I've got one of them out. But I also thought these fish might be great to use on differing layers. Now, the main reason that I had to reshoot this was I kind of got carried away and I put way too many dimensionals on this and didn't think about how it was going to close. So these pieces, which are essential in getting this to fit in a regular A2 sized envelope, wouldn't close because I had so many layers with dimensionals. So if you can see this, it's fairly flat now, but it will still go down. It's still so much fun. So let me show you how I did this. We are going to start with the card bases, and as you can see, I've used a few colors. Now, I apologize because one of them is actually retired, but there really is no great color to go with Pool Party, Coastal Cabana, Bermuda Bay, and I just happen to have one little piece of Pretty Peacock left, and I don't have Pretty Peacock ink, so I will be doing basic gray on that, but I want to show you that I have 4 different mats. So these are all 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I've got Pretty Peacock, Bermuda Bay, Coastal Cabana, and Pool Party. I've also got some tricks up my sleeve as to how we're going to dress this up. So you may see I've got one of the little foliage pieces from the Sailing Home dies. Is it? Smooth Sailing dies. And can I just tell you, I actually just ordered this bundle last week. The stamp set was on back order, so luckily I got the dies, but we just needed that. Oh, the Shark Frenzy was also for the foliage. So the foliage, the flowers, fish, and the waves. But I thought it might be nice to have a little bit of shimmer in here. I am going to use, like I said, I'm going to use basic gray for this because I don't have Pretty Peacock. And just so that I'm not stamping all over the place, I'm just going to roughly outline this. You can trace right around the die. If you do it like this, you don't even have to erase that pencil line because you're not going to see it. So now the next one that we're doing is we're going to come darkest to lightest. So the next one is Coastal Cabana. And basically what we need to do, we're not die cutting this one. So what we need to do is let's die cut this so that we know what we have to work with. Okay, so for each of these layers, we are going to do some tone on tone. I do think I want to bring in this algae from the Seascape. It looks fantastic. Okay, so this stamp is a little bit bigger than the other 2 that I have. I'm just going to bring in a scrap that I have already loved. So we'll bring in the 2 algaes from the Whale Done bundle, but let's start with this big boy over here. I'm going to do that bit of coral on this one. So we need our Coastal Cabana ink. And this one, I had to turn it a number of times because if you were to do it the same way, the whole way across, no one Well, maybe no one would ever notice, but you probably also wouldn't be able to tell what it is. Now, maybe you can't tell what it is anyways, but just turn your stamp so that it's not that same look the whole way across. And then when I got to the bottom, I would use the bottom of this coral. And we are going to use those adorable bubbles that I got from the Seascape bundle. Line this all up. Oh, how fun is that? So we'll let those sit for just a moment. I will cut my little bit of vellum. We'll get our card base going. You don't need a lot of vellum for the waves, but you do need it to be the full width of the card base so that you can adhere it down and not worry about it. So we're going to make it about 5 3/8. And then we can cut this. This is far more than we need. Die cut that. Now this piece, the wave isn't quite wide enough, so I take it to the edge and then I'll put it through a second time. Bring this in because I don't, if you've never seen partial die cutting, you might be wondering what I'm talking about. So I'm sorry, I have to move it to this side. This is my working end. So what I'm going to do is line that up. It will basically lock into place when it's where it needs to be. And if you want, you can even go all the way back there. And if you don't want it to move, just use a little piece of washi. So there are our cute little waves. And I'm going to keep my stamped cut and emboss machine here because once I do get my card base cut and scored, I need to run it through with this die again because I need that to be in the front of my card base so that we can see all of this. So I have a full sheet of Pool Party 8.5 by 11. And what we need to do is this still fits into an A2 sized envelope. So it is 4 1/4 by 5.5. Now at either end, we have an inch that's scored at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. So this is 5.5, 6.5, 7.5. So we need 7.5 by 4 1/4. And it doesn't really matter which side you cut it off of. You can only get one of these out of a sheet of cardstock. So now we are ready to assemble. We can fold and burnish these score lines. So we've got a mountain and then a valley. Mountain, valley. So valley, mountain. And then we need to do the same on the back. Mountain, valley. You can burnish these with your bone folder. Okay, so that is the back. Now we need to take a smidgen off of all of these because we don't want it sticking up beyond our card base. And if you get any of them on less than straight, you don't want it sticking up. So we are going to cut all of these down just a smidge. So they started off at 4 1/4. So let's take them down to 4 1/8. But I'm going to take a little bit off of each side instead of all on one, because if you remember, I traced this to make sure that we had it in the right area. So I will also take about 1/8 of an inch off of each end. Well, maybe not that. Let's take a 1/16. And if you're not sure what a 1/16 is, it is one tick mark on the paper trimmer. So this will now be 5 3/8 instead of 5.5. So I will speed through the rest of that because you've seen it once now. You don't need to see it 4 more times. Okay, so now we can start layering finally. we won't have an issue with this closing because that is all that we're putting on for layers here. The pool party one is going to get attached here. And the easiest way to do that, we don't want to have it this way because then we're not going to see anything. We need to turn it this way. But the easiest way is to put the dimensionals right onto the card base itself. We really don't see a whole lot of it. Maybe I'll stamp some bubbles on here because we really don't see much, and I kept those bubbles out. Who knew? Okay, so again, making sure that they aren't the same way. Okay, so for ones that are not sticking to the background, we can just peel those off. You could put a little bit of cornstarch or something on them so they're not sticky, but we can also use them to our advantage when it comes to adhering the foliage. So I don't want to put this together yet because we have to use a little bit of window sheet to adhere our whale and turtle. And let's go ahead and add our waves. So I will add some glue here, and look, those two minis will work perfectly for our vellum waves. There is a little bit of an embossed side to the front, although I don't think it makes a difference one way or the other. When I am using vellum, I like to push it in thoroughly so that it's almost invisible. Then I know that my vellum isn't going to slip on me. We're going to take advantage of those couple of dimensionals there. And how stinking cute is that? It's a little higher up than the other one, but that's all right. It's great that this bundle has carried forward into the new annual. So now we need a little bit of window sheet to make our turtle and whale float. So we only need about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to cut 1/2 inch off of this, and the length is 5 1/4. But use what you see fit. You don't want to have it too wide because the whole point of using this is to have it invisible. And now I found the best way to adhere this is to put a little bit of tear and tape on the window sheet. And you want to hide this part. So that will go on the whale. And I mean, the more that you have on the animal, the more stable it's going to be. Now we also need a run of tear and tape on the front and back. So we're going to put 4 strips there. But let's get our turtle on here. And then I also like to put another little piece of tear and tape on the piece of, well, you'll see what I mean because it's probably too hard to explain. Now, if having it come out above and beyond the turtle annoys you, just cut that little bit off. Okay, so that part that I was trying to explain and failed is when you are adhering this and you want your turtle and your whale to be at different heights, you don't want them colliding, you can put a little bit more tear and tape on here just so that it's a solid seal. I mean, we've got tear and tape on the other side as well, but I don't know, I just like to do this. But you can try it with or without. See how it goes. Okay, so if our turtle's up there, I kind of want my whale to be a little bit further down. You don't want that bit of vellum sticking out. You could likely trim it off, but keep it within the card base. Now this probably is a little bit extra since we have tear and tape on the front, but so I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the back of this. Add some little dots so that it stays down. Tuck this one in here, and we have a lot more for it to hang on to this time because of that vellum. Take the, I don't want to have both solid pieces on the same side, so we'll use the shimmer one and the flaky outliney one. Okay, so this can go on the outside, and you can add some dots up to the top just to make sure that stays. Okay, I don't want to play around with those too much. I'm so bummed that we can't see our whale, but I think maybe if we put one of these fish, well then he's on top of the wave, right? Let's put him, it might be a little too close in color. I want to pop these guys up on a mini. Almost tore his face off. See that? Be gentle with them. I really think the Calypso Coral is going to pop more here, but where are you gonna go? Let's put them right there. We'll have this guy over here. Kind of covered, I know, but I kind of messed up my placement. And also, these guys don't stand out nearly as much as these little Calypso Coral ones. So actually, I think I'm going to take this guy out. We could put him, I mean, it's all underwater, right? Let's put him there. Why not? So for these, I did use minis. I think we're going to have them going the same way as that little fish. Oh my goodness. And then if the dimensional is a little too big, you can always trim it down. Oh, they're so cute. Okay, we'll pop that whale up and put one right here. Oh my goodness, I love them in the glimmer paper. I'm very disappointed that I didn't put my whale higher up. But at this point, I don't want to wreck it. So take the lessons that I have kind of learned the hard way. And one, your waves definitely don't need to be this high. I'm almost thinking I could do another one there and have it lower so that there's multiple waves. But make sure that you can see the main feature of your card before you seal it up. Let's put one up here. I don't want to have all the interest like where the whale is. The whale doesn't have to be the feature. I mean, he isn't now because he's buried. Where do I want this one? Maybe close it and we'll see, like, is there a spot that really could use one more fish? Let's put it right there. So I don't purposely make mistakes to teach you. It is part of crafting, but I'm kind of thinking that with a circle punch, I might be able to come in and lower these and still have that same kind of wave. It's a little more round than it should be, but now if I could fit a bigger circle punch in here, I would, but I don't want to wreck it. Okay, it's a little better. Oh boy. Okay, so my light's dying. It's telling me it's time to go. I hope that you enjoyed this, mistakes and all. And if you make one of these, I would love to see it. I would love to see the changes you make, or if you make it exactly the same, please don't make it exactly the same where your whale is hidden. I like it much better where you can see them. But I would love to see it. You can share it on my Facebook page. You can share it on Instagram. Tag me at StampedAF. You can email it to me. I would love to see it. And I thank you so much for watching this week, fumbles and all. And I hope to see you next week. Bye.